Welcome to Sustainable Packaging with Cory Connors. Today's guest is Costas Papaikonomou, and we're excited to learn about your background, sir. You're a founding partner at Terra Venture Capital Fund. Can you tell us about how you got into this business?
Yeah, so the story technically it's my third career to be transparent. So bit about myself. I'm 50 years old. I've been in innovation and let's say the business of doing new things for over 25 years now. And my first career was as an engineer, building basically machinery, designing products. Ended that after 10 years, moved into something quite different, which was innovation consulting after that with a business called Happen Group, which I co-founded with two dear friends. And that basically took me into the world of mass consumer goods and understanding, you could say, the difference between making just a couple of products and making bazillions of products.
Right.
Yeah, and the implications of that. And I guess what we excelled at the time was being very specific in these mature industries. If we're talking like toothpaste, laundry detergents, cough syrup, stuff like that, what are like remaining frustrations that still exist or new frustrations that have come into the mix, and being able to answer them with things that are just simply commercially viable, that you can run off your existing factories, that just make commercial sense. And it turned out that was a big gap, you could say, in where many of these big industrial giants were looking up or looking down into, you could say. It was a fantastic journey. We ended the business in 2019 when we sold it to Accenture. That had grown to a team of 70. And coming out of that, I had time on my hands. And here's the thing, in that period with Happen, I met countless very interesting people. And one in particular was Luca Zerbini, who I met at his time in Amcor. Amcor is a big packaging industrial, of course.
Mhm.
And what we were trying to do with Amcor under his, let's say, leadership was to show as a business to business supplier of packaging, if you understand the end consumer situation a little better, you can basically show how packaging can make a difference to your customers, the branded
Right.
goods,
Right.
in ways they had never thought of. And in a way, you could say what we've now tried to do, Luca and myself, what we're trying to do with the fund is to add that, let's say, insight of using, let's say, the infrastructure that exists within these huge companies and to see if you can use that to scale sustainable solutions much, you could say, much more effectively than trying to build everything from scratch. And yeah, we started with that 2 years ago now. It's not been an easy ride getting to our
Sure.
first close, but it's like we're within shouting distance. We did raise some capital and put some of our own money in, say, ourselves, and we've started investing. We've done about 6 investments now. We've even managed to exit one already. And yeah, they all fit the profile that they're in the sustainability domain, obviously. And I guess in a subset of that, in a consumer goods universe. And then within that, it's very much, I guess, circularity focused. And yeah, there's so much to do there. It's pretty much incredible.
Thank you.
Little
That's
narrative.
great.
Yeah.
I'd love to hear about new companies and investment groups that are supporting sustainable packaging and
Mhm.
sustainability and circularity in general. Can you tell us a little bit about where you live and what it's like there? I'm excited to talk about this because I'm heading there next
Like,
week.
yeah. So geographically, so the Netherlands.
Yeah,
So you'll
yeah.
be spending most of your time below sea level. So
Mhm.
that's just to mentally prepare yourself, which
Sure.
I can imagine is quite a stretch. So the Netherlands, yeah. So I have a long Greek name, but I'm actually Dutch. I've lived here almost all my life. What is interesting about the Netherlands is it's a country of trade.
Mhm.
Obviously, it's a country where we have this has been the case for like hundreds of years. It's a country where as you could say, the first institutions were really set up as a society that have basically allowed us to become a very organized, let's say, little country. It's like a tiny speck really on the map
Yeah.
in Europe. But because of the institutions that we've been nurturing here for like hundreds of years, the rule of law is very, say, well
Hmm.
sorted, which means doing business is very clear and transparent typically. And because we're at the sea, our ports, particularly the port in Rotterdam, has become a huge, let's say, trading center for goods across the world, of course. So it's a very, say, nice little hub in Europe to basically get a taste almost of every other country in Europe fairly quickly. Such an international little place.
That's a great way to put it. I've heard a lot of very good things about Amsterdam and the Netherlands. People have cautioned me that it will probably rain the whole time I'm there.
It's
Um,
been raining the past week. That's literally, there was a little article on the news just now, which is how to make the best of like the 20 minutes it's not raining every day.
I'm
Yeah.
from Portland, Oregon, where it rains all the time too. So I'm not concerned that much about that. I've got a jacket and not worried about that. But I guess we should get back to sustainable
Yeah.
packaging here. How has sustainable packaging affected what you're investing in? Are you finding sustainable packaging solutions?
Yeah, so it's funny because when Luca and I reconnected outside of our original, let's say, relationship as client and supplier, we stumbled into one which turned out to be the right perfect profile for us as a business going forward. It was Pulpex, who do a paper-based bottle for liquids, beverages, etc. And here's the thing, I'm new to VC, and in a way, Luca has a bit more experience as in corporate venturing, but we were naively surprised to see that this business, which paper packaging is not new, of course, by any stretch, paper bottles is maybe a bit newer,
Mhm.
but this business was basically creating a solution which you could, with relative ease, use on an existing filling line. And our definitely my assumption was obviously you would develop a new paper bottle such that you can fill it on an existing filling line and not
Right.
demand a whole new, say, line to be set up. But it turned out to be quite unique. And that for us, at least it was, so this is one worth putting our own cash in. Literally went to the bank, got cash out, put it into Pulpex, made a very nice return fairly quickly. But here's the interesting thing, and this is a little bit sinister, and I'm using that word on purpose about how the venture capital world works, because if you have a solution as a startup or scale up, which is basically just the product and the technology, and you say, you don't need to build a new factory, you don't need to build a new e-commerce system, you don't need to build new distribution, all these other things. From a VC point of view, it's maybe not very exciting because how's that
Right.
ever going to give you a 50-time multiple? Well, it
Sure.
isn't. That's the thing. So yeah, since we've continued investing, maybe two others to call out in the context of packaging to
Yeah.
just given the topic of this podcast. One
Right.
is, in a way, it's in an adjacent space, which is Grey Parrot, who basically have an AI-based system to support waste processing. But what they do with a very smart vision system is they literally recognize the packaging. So
Mm,
rather than, let's say, shining all kinds of types of light onto it and figuring out is this a HDPE or LDPE or any other
right.
kind of plastic, they just recognize, hey, here's a little fragment of a Coke bottle, and there's another fragment of a Fanta bottle. I know
Amazing.
exactly what those are made of, and it basically helps you sort. One of the things I'll be talking about very briefly as an example of what I would almost call like the holy grail in, let's say, sustainable innovation or sustainability oriented innovation is a business of Mikvac. I've literally just come onto the board also of it's a Swedish company. By no means is that a startup or a scale up. I mean, this business has been going for 10, 12 years now. And they basically create a solution which uses less energy, less material. So, hey, sorry, what I should add, they do ready meal packaging. So
Oh, good.
literally on the chilled shelf, but less energy, less material. So that's better for planet right there.
Hmm.
But on the demand side, they don't talk about necessarily that it's less waste, less whatever. They say the taste is much better because it's been heated less.
Right.
So, and then you see where, at least in my point of view, the future of this, in a way, this industry and this topic is, which is as a manufacturer of packaging or by that any other product, get your act in order from the planet, better for planet point of view. But
Right.
while you're doing that, improve your product in a way that you have a whole range of other reasons why customers should be picking it.
Yeah.
And in this case, if you're in food, just ensure it delivers the taste better at the end. That's all you need to do to get people excited.
Right.
Um, yeah.
Said the future is sustainable packaging will be an obvious choice. It's a
Yes.
must. It's not like it's not a selling feature anymore,
Right.
which in my opinion will be great if everything is sustainable and what we go back to the features, advantages, and benefits of the product itself.
Yeah.
Like you just said, let's make food that tastes really good. And then, oh yeah, it's also packaged sustainably as well. This is exactly how it should be said.
We're in violent agreement on that one.
Yeah. So you're at home base for Packaging Europe, which is next week. Very exciting. I'm heading there with my wife early, and then we'll stay a few days after to experience your part of the country. What are you looking forward to at Packaging Europe?
What I'm looking forward to, this is where people come together who actually work in the packaging space and they
Yeah.
actually make packaging and they actually sell packaging and they do actual stuff.
Right.
Again, the world of VC and startups and scale-ups, it's a world of investment vehicles. It's not necessarily the world of new companies and new technologies. And just being able to reconnect with what the industry is really working on, what the real problems are, trust me, if you go around the circles I'm in most of the time, this is a real sort of breath of fresh air.
Right.
And I really enjoy it because I was there last year as well. I really enjoy just connecting with indeed the packaging professionals.
Hmm.
And yeah, I'm also just happy to be surprised about all the things that are going to be shown and talked about, etc. But it's for me the main thing is this is the real world. This is not
Yeah.
hopes and dreams and new foils made of algae poop or something that is just completely up in the stratosphere. But you know what I'm talking about. It's just
Right.
there are so many dreamers out there coming into this area where if you do God knows how many square kilometers of film every year, you need something which is a drop-in solution because otherwise it's
Right.
just not going to work.
Right.
And yeah, those are hard to find. And when you find them, they're good, but needle
I
in a
agree.
haystack. Yeah.
Yes, I'm meeting with some clients today about automation, and you're
Hmm.
exactly right. They want to use equipment that can use new sustainable materials, but you're right. They also want to keep the equipment they have and insert sustainable options, maybe a film with higher post-consumer recycled material or something, a simple step that will make a
Yeah.
big difference today rather than waiting for, like you said, the unicorn that might not come to fruition. And there's so much
No,
testing that
exactly.
needs to be done.
So my whole professional life has been about innovation. And here's the thing, I actually hate new things. And the word disruption, honestly, it's so overvalued. As you put it, small steps, smart steps, the
Hmm.
right steps is really all you need. Because otherwise you
Right.
just won't survive. Launching products is easy. Keeping them in the market, that's what's hard.
Right.
And that can only work if you're making the right amount of money on them because you're solving the right problem.
Right.
Um,
And having the market respond and the consumers respond in a way that makes it
yeah.
so valuable that we can't go back to the old version again.
That,
Uh,
but here's the
yeah.
thing. That's what actual, say, a step change literally is about.
Yeah.
Is you elevate something to a space where
Mhm.
you look back and think, I'm glad that's behind us because we're in a better
Right.
place here. Yeah,
Yeah.
but that simple truth is not one which is necessarily being lived by in the domain of, let's say, innovation and doing new things. A lot of it is just new for new sake.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I totally agree. It sounds like, and you'll be speaking there as well. Is that right?
Correct.
Tell us.
I'll be speaking on the first day in the morning. One of the first ones. I think there are two stages live. The innovation stage. I will be better dressed for the occasion. Maybe let's start with that. But it's really cold in the house here. But I will be speaking about a couple of things. But what it comes down to is that there is a win possible, which is yes, you can create something which is commercially sensible. You can make money as a business on and is better for planet. I'll be using the MICVAC example also. I'll be showing some frameworks on how to judge what is in front of you because some of these, let's say, new ideas can be very compelling at first glance. And
Yeah.
how do you quickly filter through some sense checks as is it really good as they say?
Yeah.
And I'm literally taking that straight from our selection guide at Terra, which has proven pretty spot on so far. And again, it's not rocket science, but I hope it will save people time and having
Right.
to figure some of these out themselves.
Well,
Yeah.
I look forward to hearing you speak. And you're right. This is something I deal with every day. As at Aurora, we're trying to find new materials that we can offer to our clients that are
Mhm.
actually more sustainable and actually going to do the job and actually still perform and not be so risky that they just fail. Lots of testing, lots of lab work. We're launching our sustainable packaging lab here in a
Mhm.
few weeks. So I'd love to invite you over to the USA to see that. And
Oh, wow.
we'll,
That would be spectacular. Yeah.
yeah, we'll talk about
Congratulations
that
also.
later.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, this is
Yeah.
a couple years in the works. My boss, Chris Bradley, has been working really hard on it, and we've all pitched in. So thank you, sir. How do people get in
With
touch with
pleasure.
you?
If you're coming to the conference, which I hope the listeners to this podcast will, then just find me and tug my arm, say hello. The email is very simple. It's Costas at unaterra.vc, which will be all over the materials I'll share also at the conference. And yeah, looking forward to meeting like-minded realists is probably a word to use here. Yeah, looking forward to it.
Said, sir. And thank you, Aurora Packaging Solutions, for sponsoring this podcast. And we'll see you next time.